It's about to go live. It's going to be live any second. It's live right now.
Here we are. We are live. Hey, all right, let's freaking do this. All right. Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Parks Casino and Sportsbook app. Eliot Shorr-Parks, James Seltzer with you. Right after the game, right after 1-0, the Eagles, the only team in the history of the NFL to win a game in the Southern Hemisphere. How about that? It wasn't pretty, Eliot. It was not pretty. It wasn't easy. It was stressful. It was weird. It was a weird game all around, but they got it done. And we're coming to you live from Brazil. We got about 20 minutes for Eliot's got to go to the locker room. Show tomorrow 1 to 3. We'll get all kinds of stuff out. But Eliot, they freaking pulled it out, man.
Man, so much to say about this one. So the first thing I would say is traveling to Brazil and beating the Packers is not easy. You don't have to win this one.
I agree.
With style points. Like, you just don't. Like, the Packers are a really good team. They have a really good offense. You saw that tonight with some of the plays their playmakers made. I think they have a pretty good defense. So there is no wrong way to win this game. Now, there are certainly things to talk about from this, and we'll probably do that more in depth later in this pod, tomorrow, throughout the week. Like Jalen, right? Jalen I think kind of is a poster for this win in a way.
Jalen he wasn't really great. I totally agree. He made some big plays at the end, and it was really the skill position players around him were so great. It carried the day.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly why you pay Saquon Barkley all that money. Yep. It's why you pay A.J. Brown all that money, so that you can win games when your quarterback.
And Devontae closing it out.
Yep, Devontae, absolutely. Quinyon, I thought had a really good game. We'll get into that. I know you love yourself some Quinyon now. We were texting about that. So, I mean, look, if they lose that game, Jalen is getting absolutely ripped, and fairly so. He had the 2 really ugly interceptions, which, of course, we knew he was going to have after setting the start training.
Lock City.
It was a lock of the season. I mean, the second one he had was terrible. Like, I don't know how
horrendous
it was on TV, but AJ was wide open.
Well, especially Eliot, especially considering that a field goal makes it a 5-point game or 8-point game, whatever it was at that point. Like, that was a big spot. Like, you can't 100%. Give up points there.
He almost threw a pick 6 along the sideline that should have been intercepted.
He almost did the one that Jair Alexander dropped that AJ had to play defensive back for.
100%. I mean, he could have had 4 interceptions tonight easily. But
and he fumbled the tush push at the end. Saquon saved the day again.
Yep, 100%. But he didn't. Like, he didn't throw the pick 6. It wasn't fumbled. He just didn't. I mean, Jordan Love had an interception tonight. Totally. And at the end of the day, like, I'm a big quarterback win-loss record guy. And he made big plays at the end. Like, he absolutely did. And the few passes to Devontae that you just mentioned, he had some really big runs in this game late, especially to get first downs. The play where there was a holding penalty on the Packers, that really only happens because Jalen extends the play. If that's, like, let's say Tanner McKee back there and he's sacked, maybe that play doesn't happen. They have to punt the ball, and who knows what happens. So just him extending the play there was absolutely huge. So I gave Jalen a C- for the game. I think that feels fair. He wasn't that great. Like, he just wasn't. But ultimately, you go to Brazil, you win the game, you make big plays late. I thought he made big plays with his leg as well. Look, the Eagles can't be picky about wins right now. I think there's a discussion to be had about if this is one of those wins like the Patriots win last year where you go, not a great performance, but they won. But the team is way better they played. The environment is way different. The environment was unbelievable, man. We'll talk about that in a minute.
You could hear it. It seemed that way on TV.
Oh, my God, dude. I've been to, I don't know, I think 5, 6 Super Bowls. 2017 Super Bowl is up there for sure because of the result. But, like, in terms of pure environment, I mean, it was wild here tonight. So it was a hostile environment. It was loud. It was new. It was unique. They were 5,000 miles away, and they got the win. And that really, really matters. Like, if now it's week 2, 3, 4, and Jalen's not playing great, then you can go that route. But tonight, because of the circumstances, I think, Eagles fans should go to bed happy tonight for the most part.
Eliot, I think you summed that up perfectly. And again, at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts just want to know. And Jordan Love's 0-1 for what it's worth, and at the end of the day, that has to matter. And yes, he has a lot of talent around him, but he's got a lot of talent around him. It is what it is. At the end of the game,
so does Jordan Love.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, when the game was on the line, Jalen made some big plays. And granted, he had some horrible plays. And the 2 interceptions, particularly the second one, are what was so frustrating. The fumbles on the snaps and especially that first one, that felt like more of a Cam snapping it too early. It's hard to.
The second one was too. Am I wrong?
It was hard to tell. It was hard to tell. Yeah. So on TV because they were all bunched. But regardless, regardless, like I can understand Cam and him still not being on the same page, especially with the no preseason stuff, which how many times, like, oh God, they should have the preseason. We know that was a whole thing. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, he made big plays at the end when he needed to, and he allowed his guys. He did move the ball around. He found the open guy a lot of times. The Calcaterra throw was a big one at the end that felt like, on that last drive that was like, all right, he just found the guy, the hot read who was open when they blitzed. Like, they handled the blitz better. He bailed on the pocket too much and all that. So, but like, and so I think like the things we're coming in for, like, Jalen is in a new offense with new stuff, with a new center, with all this stuff. Like, I'm not going to destroy him for a game tonight where he made some big plays at the end where they ultimately won again in a weird spot. Like, it felt weird. The game was weird. The way it played out, there were 10,000 flags. There was no flow. It was in Brazil. They took a 10-hour flight. Like, there are a million different things. I don't think we can, like, make any sweeping declarative statements. Statements. I was gonna say, where you going? Finally got there. Like statements. Hey, it is. I woke up 3. I'm like 3 hours away from being up for 24 hours. So well, give me a break. So but that's my point. Is at the end of the day, they won the game, and that's what you can ask for.
I agree. You can't make any sweeping statements about the season. Obviously, no statements about training camp stats. They still very much matter. But I think we can both agree, like, he has to play better this year than he did tonight.
100%. Like, he has to protect the football. Yeah.
And the last Jalen thing I'll say before we move on, because I do want to talk about the player of the game, in my opinion.
Without a doubt. I think everyone's opinion, Elliot. I don't think you saying, in my opinion, makes Saquon Barkley. It's everyone's opinion. Go ahead.
Well, it is on my Instagram, so it is.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right.
Exactly. And my threads. But, no, I mean, I think that Jalen didn't look that much different than last year. They were better against the blitz, but I thought for the most part he looked like the guy he did last year. So that's a larger discussion to have. But the difference is he had Saquon in the backfield tonight, and some of the plays he made were exactly why you pay him all that money. Like, there were holes that he took advantage of where if DeAndre Swift was out there, there's still big gains. But the catch he made on the touchdown, Swift doesn't make that catch.
So good. And that was a great throw from Jalen too. Credit on both spots. A throw that hasn't made a ton,
Yep, 100%. The other touchdown, I thought the cut he made it a way easier touchdown than it
he had so many of those, Elliot. He had so many of those just quick cuts to hit the hole with burst. We saw that Saquon burst. Like, he looked spry. I'm not going to say
the one run he had was really, like, when he got going, it was surprising how.
And he's powerful. Like, his combo of speed and power. It's not what he was as a rookie, where I was like, I think he's the best running back I've ever seen. But he still has that. He still is special when it comes, and he showed that tonight with the power and the burst and the ability to finish, dude. Like, that dude knew where the goal line was, and he said, I am getting this ball over it, and he delivered. Like, I was. Again, I think we all thought of T.O. tonight, right? I mean, that's the last time I feel like they brought in an offensive player of this level whose debut went like this,
Well, it's funny. So obviously I'm not on Twitter all game, so I have really no idea what the reaction to this.
What an experience! What an experience!
So I guess T.O. was a comparison, and
I don't even know if people did. I tweeted it, but I mean, like, I'm assuming I wasn't the only one to think of it. I wasn't following Twitter as much as just tweeting while I watch. You know me.
Well, the other thing that, as awesome as the environment was, there were literally no replays. I've only ever seen one play in this game once. Like, every play in this game.
That's wild.
I know, but to me, it looks like the only negative play he had was when he slipped at the beginning of the game. And
on the last drive, he had like a 3-yard loss that was like a very similar type of thing.
Yeah. Well, first of all, not to get into the Super Bowl thing, but like you want to talk about
buddy, you want to talk about something
impacting the game, like
Ellie, you want to talk about something that was a thing on Twitter? Yeah, we were all talking. It was like, haven't we done enough of this? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the field was bad. So I think
between the field and the flag, I think the NFL did not have a great night. Whereas the game was fun, and look, they pulled off a game in South America. The environment was so cool, but I mean, dude, the refs lost his voice by the beginning of the second half. It was unbelievable. Like, it was so bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. So overall, those were issues. The field was definitely a mistake, or it was not good. But the last thing about Saquon, I'll say too, is the reason they signed this guy is because he will help them close out games. And he was good tonight. He was absolutely big in the fourth quarter. The other offensive thing I wanted to talk about, I mean, A.J. Brown, man. Like, that.
What a stud, dude.
That play was unbelievable. And again, like, I think he gets he's gonna get lumped into the Saquon thing a little bit, and no shame in that. But like this is what happens when you have special skill players. Like the throw from Jalen was a good throw. Like it was.
It was like a slant route, and he just took it. He's just like, and then
Well, that's
and he had a few of those. Like it felt like his ability, especially on that field, to catch a ball, stop on a dime, flip around, and change direction. 100%. He did that like 2 or 3 times where it was like, wow, man, like that is, especially on the field when no one could do that. It was like that's impressive stuff.
Well, I think on the offensive side of the ball, what you saw tonight was if Jalen can just be, the 8th best quarterback in the league this year, they're going to be unbelievable. Like
12th,
the skill players
12th,
they have.
Like 10th, 12th, honestly.
Or just guess what, man? Like make better decision with the football.
Don't turn the ball over. Honestly, if we get like 2021 Jalen who just didn't turn the ball over, like it'd be like, okay, cool.
Or 2024 training camp Jalen. Like where was that guy? That was not the guy I saw all throughout camp. And we should put out here, like if the Packers make a field goal, who knows how it turns out, but this was a coin flip game for sure. But in coin flip games, you need your special players to make special plays. And that's exactly what AJ, Saquon, Devontae did. Jalen did not. He was the quarterback. He won the game. He made
some at the end. He made some at the end. But not like you're right. There were a couple. That one run where he bullied for the first down. Like there aren't many quarterbacks who do that. And I do think he was smart about picking and choosing his spots when he had to fight for yards. He did at the end there. I agree. AJ, Saquon, and even Devontae, some of those catches and the stuff at the end, like that, you saw those guys. And look, Goddard actually more involved than he's been to start the season last year, certainly. Yeah. So I agree with you. I think that the playmakers are what really shine tonight offense.
So the last thing about Jalen before we get to the defense, before that final drive, I was feeling like they were going to win in spite of him. I don't feel that way now because he helped clinch the game. So I don't think he did a ton of things to help them win. He did some things that made him could have lose. But I think mostly you leave this game, and I think I gave him a C. But he did enough to win a really tough game, and that's where I fall on it. Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, you're back. It was only a second, and I agree with you. Like I'm with you, and look, I think that until he really gets comfortable in the offense, we might see that from Jalen, where he has some really special moments to help you win a game, but he also makes some dumb plays that might lose you a game. And
for sure,
he's going to have to really work on the decision making in those situations, not throwing the ball, not giving away. All right, let's get to the defense before you have to get out of here, because I do think that with how great Saquon was and the big plays that the playmakers made, it might get overshadowed. But other than some missed assignments and a couple miscommunications, and again, the pass rush, outside of Jalen Carter and some blitzing, Zach Bond, that type of stuff was not where it needs to be. I mean, Bryce Huff, if you want to talk about the opposite end of debuts from what Saquon's was, Bryce Huff seemed like invisible for the vast majority of the game.
Yeah, I mean, all the edge rushers did.
Yeah, but you know what? Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis made some plays, but Jalen Carter was really good inside. And Zach the secondary, Bond. And Zach Bond's a player, man. Zach Bond's really good.
He's athletic,
and Nakobe, I know Nakobe had some really bad moments, but he also flashed too, which he had that one touchdown was a disaster. But
and the drop touchdown is what
ultimately, I mean, Quinyon was awesome. That dude, I don't know how you could feel better about a first-round cornerback after a performance like that in his first NFL game. And then just overall, Blankenship with the big play, Bond, kind of redirecting it and all that. Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, we talked about coming in the season where this defense, and I know they gave up a lot of points, but 9 points off 3 turnovers, 2 of them in the red zone. And at the end of the day, we said it just needs to be a defense that, is where they need to be, doesn't give up too many disaster plays, and at the end of the day can get off the field 4 or 5 times a game and let this offense shine. And tonight we saw that defense.
Well, and let's be real, the defense won this game in the first quarter. This game could have been donezo.
1,000,000%. You know what it reminded me of? The Niners game last year. And obviously, they probably would have lost it anyway. But remember, the Eagles get the 2 drives, and they get 6 points out of it. And then the Niners just took off, and it was over. They scored a touchdown, making 7-6, and took off, and it was over. And this game didn't play out that way, but it felt like that, where it felt like if those two drives turned into touchdowns, the result might have been different.
So I have 2 major takeaways on defense. One, Quinyon is a dude, man. Like I don't know if it came across on TV, but watching
it did, dude. It did.
Every play he's in the Packers' face. He's like, he's like Jalen Mills, but
he's like tackling in there too. Yeah, I mean, he's like going for tackles.
You don't want to make declarative statements, but that dude seems to have every characteristic.
Yep,
number one.
Dude, he's a stud.
The play he made early in the game where they're testing him deep against, I believe it was Watson on third down. He gets that, like, that's a big time play, man.
It's on an island. He was on an 100%. Island against, a dude who's bigger than him, and he played it perfectly. He knew just how much contact he could get away with. He was right there. He turned back at the right time. Like they talked, and obviously we talked. The reason I love the Quinyon pick when they made it, we talked about it, was that, I'm not gonna look at a guy from Toledo and say, wow, he's amazing. But I watched the highlights and the burst seemed unbelievable. But then you hear all these people who really know what they're talking about being like, you don't understand this guy's ability to break and do all these things that we just saw completely on display. The thing that we didn't know is he's a freaking dog, man. And I think, we saw that at the beginning of his Eagles tenure when he was telling A.J. Brown trash out and all that. All right, looks like we've lost Elliot. I am assuming. Tucker, are you efforting to get him back, or should I just wrap this mother up? All right, here he is. If you're watching live, it's a solo show. I mean, I did do the solo Bet Parks Picks pod. Check it out. I am now 2-0 on the week, even though I only made the Eagles pick on the pod, but nailed that one. But again, I think if you're an Eagles fan tonight, and again, obviously we talked a lot about the mistakes Hurts made and the potential things that could have gone the other way, the turnovers, all the flags that felt one-sided early, but really I think at the end of the day, both teams really got crushed by the flags and in big spots. So, hey, you're back.
So, I know that was bad. I'm probably going to cut out soon, to be honest.
It's all good. We can wrap up. I would say your final thing for sure, whatever you got to do.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, man. Like, I tried to tell you guys, the dude can't tackle. It's going to be a major problem all year. He just can't tackle. He brings other things. You can't have him be the last line of defense. You saw it multiple times tonight. So those are my two main takeaways on defense. One, Quinyon's that dude. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he just can't tackle, and it's a fatal flaw as a safety.
I love that I said your final thing, and you're like, I gotta go for CJ GJ.
Dude, I know.
And look, it could be. Reed was good though. I thought Reed played a solid game out there. So, and look again. I think to go back and say it right this time, the first time, I don't think we can make too many declarative statements off of a game in Brazil that's such a strange, unique situation for all these guys. And, how they travel, how they respond to the travel, all this type of stuff is such a big part of it. I think, over the next few weeks, we'll obviously get a better feel for what this Eagles team is. But I think what we saw tonight is the just really unbelievable amount of talent on the offensive side. 100%. And I think some guys flash on defense that they need to, where it makes you think like, hey, if they can kind of get the system where it needs to be, and Jalen's comfortable with all that, like it does feel like you should come out of tonight thinking, this team does have a chance. Like this is a real contender, but they also could have some fatal flaws.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say before I got to run. I think last season might have made us feel like you can't win ugly because of how last season ended. You can generally win ugly.
And how it started. And the first 10-1 because it was ugly and no one believed it. Yeah. I got you. Yes.
But because of the collapse, because of the collapse, people are now going to be like, well, this is how they played last year. And I get that. But a lot of teams also win ugly, go to 8-2 or whatever, and then they don't collapse. So they can't overlook a win. You just can't do it.
Yep, love it. By the way, under center tonight too. We could be remiss if we didn't mention some under center. Kellen Moore. No, it was good point. I'm happy. So when you get back and we're doing no pods, everyone will hear the saga of your bag. But I know you got to go now. I teased it. We'll get to it. But thanks for making this happen, everyone. Tomorrow, 1 to 3, me and BLG. Joe DeCamera going to call into the show at 2:00, so you can get DeCamera's thoughts on the game and all that. So check us out. Elliot, I love you, buddy. Get home tonight safe. Do what you got to do. Keep me updated. And we will talk to everyone tomorrow and obviously throughout the week. The Eagles, you know what? Again, the main thing, let's keep the main thing. The Eagles are 1-0. They went to Brazil and they got to win. They're coming home 1-0. So them and the Chiefs, the only two teams in the NFL right now could say that. So go Birds. All right. We'll talk to Elliot when he gets back. Our show tomorrow, maybe even Elliot popping on. Either way, 1 to 3 tomorrow. We'll talk to you guys soon. Until then, from Brazil, he's Elliot and I'm James.